Welcome to my UK Global Talent Visa educational webinar. Thank you so much for joining me today. The agenda for today is just a little bit about myself. I wonder if I've met any of you. I see new names, which is amazing. So thank you so much for joining. And I hope I get to meet you soon. What is the UK Global Talent Visa? The Stage 1 endorsement application and process. A little bit about my packages of support and how I can support you throughout this journey, some of my top tips, and wait till the very end because I do have actual feedback from an assessor about a particular part of the guidelines and criteria. So stay tuned. I know it's going to be a long webinar, but I'll try and get to it as quick as possible so you can see some real assessor feedback so you don't get the same feedback. And then, yeah, if you've got any questions, please pop it in the chat and I'll get to them at the end. So just a little bit about myself, if you don't know, my name is Michelle Hewer. I'm Vietnamese by background. I hold 3 citizenships, Australian, British and Irish. I am a global talent visa coach and I became a British citizen as a result of receiving my own global talent visa in 2016. And I know 10 years ago, but it felt like yesterday because the process and journey is very memorable, and anyone who's gone through this process will not forget the challenges and the good news when they do receive the endorsement. I'm a former technician visa ambassador, so when I applied in 2016, it was such a new visa. It had only been out for 2 years, and even 2 years was not very long, and no one knew about it. So I was one of the top 50 that received the global talent visa. And in 2019, I received my indefinite leave to remain as a result of being endorsed with talent. And then I became a British citizen. I spent 7 years in the UK, Manchester, London, and Newcastle. So I based myself in the north of England and travelled a lot down to London for my startup. I was a solicitor in Australia and became a tech entrepreneur and based myself in the north of England. And then I became a global talent visa coach after receiving my own visa. And because I'm a solicitor by background, there's a special skill in terms of drafting and advocating for my clients and making sure that the criteria is met. I'm not an immigration solicitor, I'm a coach. So I'm not affiliated with the Home Office, any immigration issues. You speak to an immigration lawyer about it. I only help with the stage 1 endorsement process. I've coached, now it's about 2000 now, that was done a while ago. So I've coached so many people from different backgrounds, tech entrepreneurs, senior execs and tech employees. My success rate is 90%, and some of my clients have received a result within 3 to 27 hours. That was when the system was automated. Now it's not so automated, so the results are taking a lot longer now. And I'll go through that later on. My clients are varied. I have people from big tech, such as Sony, LinkedIn, Google, Zoom, Meta, to startup founders, CEOs, CTOs, UX designers, game design. You can see the list. It's a huge list. Even though I help people, say, for example, I've helped, numerous product managers, everyone's story is different. So everyone holds a unique story that they need to tell and their own achievements. So that's why I love what I do, is just because you have the same title, no two applications are the same. And so this is why I love what I do. So I've been featured when I was an entrepreneur. When I received my global talent visa, I was featured in so many different articles and magazines, and I was very heavily involved with the tech sector, not just about my startup, but about tech in general. So I became a thought leader in the wearable tech space because I was a startup founder in wearable tech, but I didn't really use that to promote my business. I used that to promote my thought leadership in the space, and there's a big difference which the assessors look for. So these are some of the material that I used as part of my application, and it hasn't changed that much. I know in 10 years it sounds like a long period of time. The guidelines have changed a little bit over the years, and they've moved around, and there's bits that don't apply, and now there's the guidelines are a lot stricter. It was broader when I applied, but now it's a lot stricter. So I've got the advantage of seeing the changes in the last 10 years and using them to my advantage to help my clients. I also get feedback from assessors, or get access to feedback from assessors. So I know what the assessors are looking for, and I know what feedback they provide. So I can help my future clients, to avoid that feedback. So it all started with a blog that I wrote. When I received my endorsement and my visa, not many people, as I said, had gone through the process. So I wrote a blog about my journey. That blog went viral, and then I started to get contacted by so many people about how I got it. I became a Technation Visa ambassador, and then I branched off and started coaching in this area. So it comes from my own experience and from the last 10 years of helping my clients with their global talent visa endorsement applications. I've also met some of my clients. My clients are international, so it's really nice to see the diversity in the room today. And I work online, so remotely, so I don't actually get to physically see my clients while I'm working with them because it's all via Zoom. But I arranged an alumni event with just my clients that I helped and who made it to London. And so I hosted some events in London, and it was really nice to actually see them, touch them, and hug them, to congratulate them on reaching such a huge milestone, both personally and professionally. And it was really nice to finally get to meet them, because some of them I hadn't seen, for 5 years since they got their visas and endorsements, and then some only just got it in the last few months. So yeah, it was really nice to actually meet them. So I'll get to your questions in a sec, so thank you so much. Please be patient. So what is the Global Talent Visa? It used to be, when I applied, it used to be called the Exceptional Talent Visa, but it's now called the Global Talent Visa. Same thing, really. It's a special visa that was introduced to allow highly skilled tech entrepreneurs and talent in digital tech the ability to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. It's a two-stage process, so you have to be endorsed by Tech Nation. This is for the tech applicants. And then once you're endorsed by Tech Nation, then you can apply for your stage 2 visa. Once you are endorsed, though, the endorsement process is the harder process, because you have to put forward, 15 documents. And once you've got the endorsement, it goes through the immigration process. So they do all the checks and balances, about your background and all the rest of it. So that's an immigration application. I don't help with that. An immigration lawyer can do that for you, or you can do it yourself. But I only help with stage 1, the endorsement, to be endorsed by Tech Nation. And it's more than a job application. It talks about your whole career in general, not only in the tech sector, about your job, but also what you add value and what contributions you've made to the tech sector in general. Now, the Global Talent Visa is an umbrella visa, so there's lots of different endorsing bodies that endorse applicants for different sectors, say, for example, fashion, arts, engineering, science, but I only help with and specialize in digital technology applicants. So if you're on a different pathway, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. I only help with the technology sector. So the benefits of the Global Talent Visa, which I've taken advantage of and I've benefited from, is the freedom and flexibility to live and work in the UK for up to 5 years. So I had an entrepreneur's visa, and that was very restrictive. And back then it was called entrepreneur's visa. There's no longer an entrepreneur's visa now. But back then it was so restrictive because I could only work on my startup. I couldn't do anything else. So when the Global Talent Visa came along, I switched to the Global Talent, and it actually gave me freedom and flexibility to not only work on my startup, but I could work, for someone else if I wanted to, as an employee, as a contractor, earn some money, and then go back to my startup. So it was very flexible. So I did that. I took a break from my startup and worked for a university, and then worked for an accelerator, came back to my startup. So it was really, really flexible, and there was no issue with my visa because I had it. It was attached to me. You can apply for indefinite leave to remain and British citizenship on the Global Talent Visa as well. You can bring your dependents with you if you have a partner or children. You can register a limited company, which is really important for students. Work for a tech company without the need for company sponsorship. So I help a lot of people with skilled worker visas, and they want to switch from skilled worker to global talent, and their time in the UK under the skilled worker visa counts. So that's a huge benefit as well. And then, some people are, at risk of being made redundant, which is happening every week. I speak to people every week about that. Or if they just want a bit more freedom in their job, so they're not stuck to their job, but they still want to stay in the UK, but they have to stay at their job with their sponsorship visa. So the Global Talent Visa allows them that flexibility. And it's quite cost effective, the stage one endorsement process anyway. It's in the hundreds. It's an application fee. It's only when you get endorsed that's when the bigger fee is. But initially, the stage one endorsement is not a big fee, application fee that is. So the real benefits, and this is what a lot of people benefit from when they do get the Global Talent Visa, and what I did is it gives you credibility, because Tech Nation, an endorsing body, is telling you that you are an exceptionally talented leader in tech, and that's huge. It goes towards your confidence. You can then go for promotions. You can negotiate your salary, because you've got a visa that's attached to you. You don't have to rely on anyone. So all of a sudden, you've got the confidence to say, well, if you're not giving me this promotion or a higher salary, I'm off. I can apply for other jobs. I'm not stuck with you because you're not giving me the visa anymore. I have my own visa. You've got lots of job opportunities as well. You're an accidental role model for people from your own countries as well. And it gives you a bit more security. I mean, I've had numerous clients who received the visa and went on to secure purchasing their first home in London. And it's something that they never really thought about doing, because they were on a sponsorship visa, and they didn't really know, where their future was a bit uncertain. But with the Global Talent Visa, the future is a little bit more certain for them. So that's a real added benefit for the Global Talent Visa. So some of the stats, lots of people from different countries, 90 plus countries, lots from the US, India, Russia, Pakistan, Canada. The endorsement rate has reduced in the last sort of 18 months that I've been working in this area. It used to be 54%, now it's 40%. So the benchmark is a lot higher. And I'll go through why when I go through the criteria. And as I said, it's not just a job application. It's a global talent visa. It's not a work visa. It's about how you sit and where you sit in the tech industry globally. And there's been loads of successful recipients over the years. When I applied, I know it was 10 years ago, they had a cap on how many endorsements per year. And at the time, it was 200, which is nothing when you think about it, like now in the tech sector. But back then, they only had a cap. So not only do you have to meet the criteria, you have to be within that 200 cap. So that was really stressful. But now there's unlimited endorsements. They released that cap, a few years ago. So if you meet the criteria, then you should be endorsed. No cap. There's women in tech, there's only a 25% women who apply, and 75% of men who apply, only because tech is dominated by men. That's just the stats there. And once you are endorsed, you can join the Tech Nation Visa Alumni, which is the bigger group that anyone can join. And then you have my alumni that you can join as well if I helped you. So this report is, I know it's quite old, it's about the same anyway. They have not released any newer stats, but I've been watching this in the last few years, and it's pretty similar across the years. These are endorsement rates from different countries. I help a lot of people up here with their applications, and then these are from USA, Canada, Australia, that are higher stats. And they're just stats, don't let that put you off. And then here, as you can see, there's more people applying. The Global Talent Visa is for business and technical applicants. So it doesn't matter. It's just because it's, obviously tech sounds like it's more tech. So people with tech skills. And yes, there are lots of people with that background who are being endorsed, but it's basically 50-50, I'd say, business and tech. So these are some of the applications that have been submitted over the years. You can see it's increased a lot. This was a huge spike because Tech Nation around here, they announced their closure, and that sent everyone into a frenzy, and they thought Tech Nation was closing down, but it kind of was, but then Founders Forum then took them over, so it was fine. Big, huge sigh of relief, but that's why there was a huge spike in applications. I was so busy at the time. And also during COVID as well, COVID didn't affect application. In fact, people were at home more and were considering their careers and what they were doing. So there was I was quite busy during COVID as well. And it's increased over the years. More people know about it. I was back here I was the top 50, so there weren't as many applications, but you can see there's loads more. So the process, stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 is the endorsement process. So that's what I help with. Once you've completed and prepared your application, and when I help my clients, it takes between 2 to 3 months to prepare, but sometimes my clients have taken, up to 6 months, 6 months to 12 months to prepare, because it requires meeting the criteria and gathering the right evidence. So it can take that long, but my big tip, first tip, is to prepare early. Once you've prepared your documents, then it's a matter of submitting stage 1. You pay and register online at the Home Office. And they've changed the process now. You used to upload your documents onto a TechNation portal, but now it's just emailing the 15 documents to the Home Office. And don't worry, they can take that huge big file. So it's 15 documents. You send it by email to the Home Office, and they'll respond to you to say that they've received it. And then in a few weeks' time, then they'll respond to you again to say it's been sent to TechNation. And then from there, it'll take 8 weeks for TechNation to respond, and then the Home Office will come back to you. 80% of applications are looked at and decided within 3 weeks, and then the remaining 20% are within 8 weeks. It is taking a bit longer. From what I can see, it's taking between 4 to 6 weeks now for a response. So just note that timing, but it can take up to 8 weeks from when the Home Office sends it to TechNation, not from when you submit it to the Home Office. So there's a bit of a gap, I think a 2-week gap between the Home Office looking at it, manually checking your documents, to then sending it to TechNation. So it could, all in, could take up to 10 weeks because there's that gap. And the Home Office will tell you if you're successful or unsuccessful. If you're successful, you go straight to stage 2, and that's when you pay the bigger fee. The application fee is not so much, but it's the immigration health surcharge that is quite a lot. So you need to budget for that per person, per year. If you are bringing family, then that is a bigger fee as well. So I think you can prioritize this stage 2 process so you could get an answer quicker than the 3 to 8 weeks that they say. So I've had clients go for the priority and super priorities and things. They can get it within like a few days or the next day. So just check with that. I don't deal with that, so you need to check with that. If you are unsuccessful, you'll get feedback from the assessor, and you've got 28 calendar days to appeal. If you feel that the assessor has made a mistake in your application, I help with this. So you've got 28 calendar days to appeal the decision, and it goes to a new assessor, and then that assessor will review your appeal, review your application, review the feedback, and then come back with another piece of feedback, which is either you are endorsed, so they've overturned the first assessor's decision, or they explain why they feel that you weren't endorsed, and they'll give more feedback. So then that's something that you know, if you are unsuccessful, then you might need to resubmit, which I help a lot of clients do. Is we look at the feedback and we'll change the application so that it meets answers the feedback, and then we resubmit. Okay, so eligibility, as I said, you can have a technical or business skill to be eligible. What they're really looking for is those who are working for product-led digital technology companies. But on the outset, if you have a business or technical skill, okay, and you work for product-led digital technology companies, you're probably eligible. And I do eligibility calls as well. What people who work for consultants, though, for the likes of Capgemini, KPMG, Wipro, Publish Sapient, I think I've seen some of those types of consultancy companies. What is it? Tata is a big one. If you work for those companies, unfortunately, you wouldn't be eligible. They don't like consultancies here. So that's a huge part of the tech sector. I know, because I get a lot of inquiries from consultants, from people who work for these companies, and unfortunately not eligible. That they really want people who work for companies that develop products. Okay, 2 categories. You can apply for talent or promise. If you've got more than 5 years experience and you're later in your career and you can prove your leadership through your skills and achievements, you should go for talent. And there's more senior leaders, managers, CTOs, CEOs. If you've got less than 5 years experience and you're earlier in your career and you can prove your potential to be a leader, these are more junior students, graduates, you can go for promise. Now, a lot of people have more than 5 years experience and they want to go for promise. And no, assessors will assess you under talent. If you've got 5 years, you should be a leader in your field, not a potential leader. And I understand a lot of people say, well, I don't have the evidence, and I don't feel like I'll make the talent. The assessors don't really care about that. They want you, this is why they push you that if you have more than 5 years experience, you should be going under a leader in your field, not a potential leader. And you've got to get those documents, you've got to get those skills, you've got to get your thought leadership up, work on your personal branding, work on your thought leadership. Unfortunately, they've taken that hard and fast rule. If you have more than 5 years experience, but you go for promise anyway, they will probably assess you under talent. So that's not going to help your case. So please try and select the right category, because then you can try and meet that criteria. So the definition of product-led digital technology company, as I said earlier, it's defined as a business that provides a proprietary digital technical service product platform hardware as their primary revenue source. So any company that develops its own products, okay, as their primary revenue source, because some companies have a product arm, some companies have a consultancy arm, and that's to help with the revenue generating part of their business. But so long as the product side of it generates the most revenue versus the consultancy, then it would be considered product led. Okay, so that's what they mean by what is product led. Your company has to produce some kind of products or platform, service, or hardware. And then you need to prepare 15 documents, and those 15 documents consist of 5, which is your CV, your personal statement, and 3 letters of recommendations by experts in your field. And these experts should be people that, yes, maybe that you've worked with, but what they're looking for is people that have a bit of thought leadership and presence in the tech sector. So just because they are maybe the CEO of your company, what else have they done? And they not only assess you, they assess your experts as well. Find out if they have a public presence. What I tell my clients is Google your experts. It's not just enough that they are a CEO of the company, which I know it's mad, but it's important to know that that's what the assessors are looking for. They're looking for not just the CEO, they're looking for people who have public presence, experts who have public presence. I have a lot of people that say, okay, well, what if I've got a CEO, but then I have maybe someone who's less C-suite, but they have a lot of public presence. They're Googleable, they do talks and all the rest of it. I'd rather choose that person than the CEO who might not have much or anything. Okay. And then after your 5 documents here, you've got 10 documents to show that you meet the mandatory and optional criteria. There's usually 3 pages each document, so 15 documents, 3 pages each. That's 45 pages all in, roughly. Okay, it's like a PhD of your career. That's what a lot of my clients say. So you go for talent or promise. Okay, if you've got more than 5 years, go for talent. Less than 5 years, you go for promise. Now the difference is if you are endorsed with talent, it means that in 3 years you can apply for indefinite leave to remain. If you go for promise, that means that in 5 years you can apply for indefinite leave to remain. The difference is 2 years. Then there's the criteria. So there's 5 criteria and you choose 3. But one of the criteria is mandatory, which is the leadership criteria. So you must choose that you are a leader or potential leader in your field. And then these optional criteria, you've got 4 optional criteria of which you choose 2 out of 4. And within these criteria, it's about 3 documents per criteria, which makes it 9 documents all in. But you do have 10 documents that you can submit. So what I would do is pick one of the criteria that you're stronger in and put an extra document there. So it's 4, 3, and 3, just to give you a balanced application. The first criteria is innovation. So you need to prove 3 examples of innovation. 3 examples of proof of recognition for work outside of your immediate occupation that advances the tech sector. Or you can show significant technical, commercial, entrepreneurial contributions in the field as an employee of a product-led digital technology company. This is about your work. And then 4th, if you've got any academic contributions. So you only need to choose 2 out of 4, 3 documents per criteria. Okay. So what's leadership? This is the mandatory criteria, and this is something that has been really scrutinized in the last 2 years. They want you to show thought leadership in your field. When I applied, this was optional. Now it's mandatory. You have to show that you are a leader of exceptional talent or promise, and you must show extraordinary ability by sustained or emerging national or international recognition in your field. You must be able to demonstrate a level of expertise which places you at the forefront of your respective field in the digital tech sector. So a lot of people think, I lead the products of my company, and I've done X, Y, and Z, and I've done this, and I've mentored lots of junior staff and all the rest of it. That does not satisfy this criteria, national or international recognition. What they want you to do is go outside of your company and look at what your leadership looks like outside of your company. And if it's none, and this is where a lot of people fall into, then you need to work on your thought leadership. It's not enough that you only work in your company, because you get paid to do that job. And everyone gets paid to do a job. Otherwise, you wouldn't get paid and you wouldn't be able to do that job. So this is why this criteria is more than a job application. They want to know, who are you outside of your day-to-day job? They want you to have national, international recognition in your field. Google yourself. If it just shows your LinkedIn profile and it just shows what you've done at your job, that's when you need to work on your thought leadership. These are some of the examples that they will accept. Okay, some organizational product and thought leadership, marketing and biz dev, open source projects, industry awards, speaking engagements, published in major trade publications. Yes, people have high salaries, but if you're showing high salary, you need to show OC2, which is contributions to the tech sector outside of your day-to-day job. If you're a panel speaker, if you're a judge, if you've led any large technology-led initiatives. So this is very much outside of your day-to-day job. Any letters of support, news clippings, awards, promotional material, lines of code, articles, media and press, books, featured in interviews. These are the things they're looking for. If you don't have it, you're not ready to apply. Unfortunately, that's just the hard and fast rule. I have so many people that come to me and say, I've led this product in the company. I'm more interested in what have you done outside of your company first, and then we'll talk about what you've done inside your company. This is why I developed my Leadership in Tech course, because I get so many inquiries about external thought leadership, and I talk about that a lot in my course. It's about what is the Global Talent Visa, templates for the leadership criteria, leadership examples. I've got some explainer videos. I've got real life examples from successful clients. I talk about the difference between internal thought leadership within your company and external thought leadership outside of the tech sector, how to build it, and a couple of workshops in there as well. It's really important. When my clients aren't ready to apply because they're lacking the leadership examples, this is where it'll help you. You'll have to look at doing this in the next 3 to 6 months so that you can be ready to apply. I get you ready. Otherwise, if you don't do anything, you're not going to progress in your leadership examples. And they always look at the dates as well of when you did certain things, because you cannot submit any evidence within months of submission of your application. So this is why you need to start preparation really early and have a look at your thought leadership over a period of time, over, the last 1 to 5 years, and see if there's a consistency in your thought leadership before you apply, because I want to make sure that you are actually a thought leader in your field. Okay, innovation. This is now we're going to the optional criteria. So there's 4, and you only need to select 2 out of 4. Innovation is a really difficult one at the moment because the guidelines have changed that they will accept published and granted patents only. This is really difficult because not everyone has a granted patent. So what they actually want is someone who can independently verify your innovation, as opposed to you just saying that what you've done is innovative. So granted patents tell the assessor that someone else has verified and confirmed that your patent is innovative or your invention is innovative. Otherwise, you're letting the assessor make that decision, and without anything that's independently verified, that it's going to be very difficult for them to make that decision. Okay, so anything that shows that you're innovative, that you've led any development of any products that can be independently verified, then hopefully that will meet the criteria. But if there's any granted patents, that would de-risk your application. Okay. The second criteria, proof of recognition for work outside of your immediate occupation that advances the tech sector. So this goes together with high salary. So if you're choosing high salary, this is the type of thing they're looking for in addition to high salary. So any community work, voluntary unpaid work, any mentoring, and they have changed the criteria that online mentoring is not is not favorable. They want to see some kind of physical mentoring as well. So if it's a hybrid, then yes, that would probably be good evidence. But if it's online only, in the criteria, unfortunately, the Tech Nation guidelines have changed and said physical mentoring. If you've got any mentoring at universities and startups, unfortunately, that's not accepted. So I know it's hard. I know I'm saying it's what's not accepted, but what is accepted? Physical mentoring, any contributions that you've done outside of your day-to-day job that helps a community, that helps a group of people and advances the tech sector, that's what they will accept. The third thing, this is about your job. Okay, so this is where they look at if you've made any significant technical, commercial, entrepreneurial contributions to the field as an employee, founder, or senior exec of a product-led digital technology company. So they want to look at what you actually did to help advance the field when you're an employee of a product-led digital technology company. So again, they want independently verified information. Internal documents, maybe not so much, because obviously that can't be independently verified. So anything that's public facing, anything that you've done, that you've talked about, or that you're named in any public material, that would be considered good evidence to show your impact to the field as well, and use metrics. It's really good. Okay. And fourth, academic contribution. This criteria is used by mainly researchers. I use this because I was doing a lot of research with a university helping me develop my wearable tech product. But what they're looking for is anything that's published in published journals, any letters by professors, anything that has to do with academic research. But if you're doing any kind of research for your MSc, MBA, for your PhD, that's not admissible because you're doing it for your degree, not to be published in a journal. So if it's to be published in a journal, then yes, but if it's for your degree, then no. That's the distinction, and it needs to be supported by a letter from a professor. And this is in addition to those 3 letters of recommendation by experts in your field as well. So this is a separate letter that needs to accompany this particular criteria. So that's all the criteria. So you had the mandatory and 4 optional criteria, of which you choose 2 out of 4 from. I help a lot of clients with these types of questions. Are they eligible? How do you present your documents? What's relevant? Because you might have 15 years of career, but you've got so many things. What do you put under what criteria? And I help with that. Who can your experts be? We go through a whole list of who your experts can be, and then we narrow it down. Some of my clients have 10 people, but we can only choose 3, and then sometimes only 2 make the cut. So we have to look for more. How do you show your innovations, your impact? How do you show that you're an exceptional leader? Where do you start? And then they've received an unsuccessful result. What do they do? Do they appeal or do they resubmit? What's the strategy? And I help with all of that. So I do eligibility calls. I do free eligibility calls. So just complete my eligibility questionnaire on my website, michellehewer.co.uk, complete my questionnaire, and then I'll invite you for a free discovery call. Okay. Some of my package of support starts with the discovery call, but if you want help with your leadership in tech course, they all start with a discovery call. So I'll have a chat to you, and then I can tell you which package is suitable for you. But usually it starts with discovery call. Sometimes people don't need this. They go straight to a strategy session as well. So that will help you plan your application, because planning is so key to see where you stand, what applications, what documents you can put against each criteria, and then if there are any gaps, how do you fulfill those gaps before we start working on your evidence and before we submit, obviously. I help with reviews where you've done your application. I can pretend to be the assessor, and I can tell you what's wrong with your application, what's missing, what gaps, but I can also tell you how to improve your application. Once you've sent it to the assessor, it's a yes or no. They don't tell you how to improve. That's my job, and I will help you with that. Then I can help you with end-to-end support for stage 1. So I handhold you out throughout the process, weekly catch-ups, edit your documents, help you through each piece of evidence, 2 documents each week for about 8 to 12 weeks. and I'm in the thick of it with your documents and help you craft your story, because it's all about your story and how your documents will tell your story. You only have a chance to prepare your documents in such a way that is presented clearly, is visible. You want the assessor, when they read your application, to feel like they know, like, and trust you, and that they trust your experts. There is no second chance. It's either a yes or a no, and they just send you feedback if it's a no. And then once that's happened, then you have to answer that, waste more time. So I help you put forward the strongest application to give you a high chance of success. I cannot guarantee endorsement because that's the assessor's decision, but I can guarantee a strong application based off your evidence and the documents that you have. I also help with appeals as well. So unfortunately, if you don't come to me before you submit, once you've submitted and you come to me, I can help you with a strategy in moving forward, whether or not to appeal, or let's just put your time and energy into a resubmission once I've seen the feedback and your evidence. Okay. My 5 top tips. This is your chance to tell your unique story. You're building 45 pages here, and every document has to tell a story, and then it has to tell a cohesive story. At the end of the day, that's my job. My job is to make sure that your story is told through your 15 pieces of evidence. Your tech network is your net worth. It's so important to have people to support you, because they have to be credible, they have to say the right things, they have to help tell your story, which you want to tell the assessor. This process is about self-promotion. I can't tell you enough that you need to convince the assessor that you deserve to be in the UK, that what you've done, not only in your day-to-day job, but for the tech sector, is very important. You should be endorsed so you can then make those same contributions to the UK tech sector. Being eligible is one thing. Meeting the criteria requires a whole strategy in putting together all 15 documents. And this is where I help people when they have submitted themselves and they get rejected. They come to me and I look at their evidence. It sometimes I can't follow the story. I don't know what they're trying to say. None of the documents kind of relate to each other, connect, and it doesn't connect to the full story. But then when we resubmit, it's a better story. The documents are well structured and it tells a story, and it's clear and it's concise and it's transparent, it's visible. The assessors feel like, they know, like, and trust them. So that's the big difference in my support, is I make sure everything is clear, it's structured, and it's a well-written application. Contact me sooner rather than later as well, because I help. If you come to me early, then I can help craft your story, I can help tell your narrative, and then you can then start preparing. A lot of people just do all these documents all at once without a plan and strategy in place, and you can tell when the document is produced at the end. You can tell there's no thought process from the very beginning. So that's why I help you with that thought process from the very beginning, so you're clear and you're guided throughout. Check the change log, because in the guidelines there's always updates. They just change it, and they don't announce it or anything, so you have to make sure that you keep checking the change log. I check the change log before, during, and right before submission for all my clients, just in case there's a change. For example, the innovation criteria, when they change from published or patent applications, then they changed it to granted patents. That's very different. And imagine if you saw that it was just a normal patent, registered, published is okay, in the criteria, and then you didn't check the guidelines and it changed to granted. The assessor can reject your application because you just didn't check the change log right before submission. So really do check it right before submission. Don't assume the assessor knows anything, so you have to tell that story. You have to convince them that you deserve to be in the UK and these are your achievements and your strengths. They don't click on links as well. There's some applications I've seen, it's just full of links. They don't click on those links. If it's important, take a screenshot, put the link to source where it came from. And they assess you, but they also assess your experts as well. Okay, this is big advice here. AI tools. I know AI, ChatGPT, Claude, it's very, very prevalent, and you're probably using it to help you with your application. The guidelines provide that the use of AI or language processing tools, ChatGPT, within your application is not acceptable. The creation of letters of reference, personal statements, evidence documents. The standard required for all global talent endorsement requires that your application is created by you. All reference examples of work must also be accompanied by verifiable evidence, so screenshots, press clippings, company approved performance data, so independent verifiable documents they'll accept to qualify. The use of AI or similar tools may weaken your application or potentially raise concerns regarding the validity of your application. I have a lot of people come to me and say, AI helped me with this. And that's a risk already, So it's up to you if you want to take that risk. I say it's not worth it. But if you really have to use it, then you know that that is a risk for you. This is real feedback from an assessor about AI tools. This was their feedback that I read. There were strong indications that elements of this application were written using AI tools. This goes against the visa guidance and impacts on the credibility of the application. Based on the above, the evidence provided is neither sufficient nor compelling to meet the criteria, and therefore the applicant cannot be endorsed for this visa. Very disappointing. When you get this feedback and they say this, your only other option potentially, well, there's two options: don't appeal. Other option is appeal. And when you appeal, you have to respond to this. So it just makes it difficult to respond to this if they feel like there has been AI tools used and you have used AI tools. You could go back and say, well, I didn't use AI tools, and say that, but then it's up to the assessor to decide. But it's very difficult to argue that point. So I just don't feel like you should trust, AI to write your letters, to write your application. Yeah, this is a big contentious issue right now. I don't use it. So if you want to use it, that's on you. But my help is, and my support is, I look at your application, I build everything from scratch, so that you don't get this feedback. But you can risk it and you can use it if you want, but just know that this is in the guidelines. So you risk an unsuccessful application if you do use AI. Now, my bonus tip is start working on your external thought leadership now. Okay, you've got to build your evidence to improve your confidence, your job prospects, and your GTV application. Building your thought leadership has so many benefits, not just for the GTV, it's for your confidence, for your own personal career journal, your own personal branding, because once you've spoken an event, written an article, that's yours. No one can take that away from you, and you've done it, and it only builds visibility, transparency, trust to your audience, whoever they may be. And try and go for industry awards as well to showcase that not only is your company appreciating and acknowledging your work, the industry is acknowledging and appreciating your work as well. And that speaks volumes, especially if you do go for jobs. It's not just company awards, it's industry awards that you've won, and that speaks volumes. Okay, so I hope that helps. If you've got any questions, I've got 3 here. I will answer them. But thank you so much for joining. I'm going to stop recording. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, it's great to have you here. And thank you for sticking around. I'll get to the questions now.